When social media first came into existence, it was a revolution. It allowed us to connect with people we may never have met in person, seeing their lives unfold before us in real time. But as the years have gone by, so has the proliferation of social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now TikTok, where we follow and connect with celebrities, fall in love with trending dance challenges, receive breaking news from all around the world being hidden by major news outlets. TikTok is the fastest growing platform, outpacing the others. But there's a dark side to this new age social media, where people are getting harassed in the thousands. Accounts suspended, racism thrives here. Personal information getting doxxed, people losing their jobs from being exposed, and sexual assault allegations being raised against people.
Calling the police.
Four a.m. LAX, on my way to Honolulu, Hawaii, to go meet Anthony Highland. I'm exhausted, but we going. Just landed in Honolulu, Hawaii. The flight was crazy. It was a lot of turbulence, and when we landed, the whole plane gasped for air. It was crazy. Just confirmed my ride to get to the hotel. As soon as we get to the hotel, I'm gonna tell Anthony to come link up with us so we can get this whole documentary on the road. That's pretty much it right now. But it was great. So far, it's great. And it's hot. Got some of the lights on. Oh! Look at that. Now that's a nice view. Got the mountain view. We in Hawaii, baby. Let me shut down my computer real quick. Anthony just texted me and told me he's on his way. So let me go grab my key. I finally get to meet him in person. We've been talking on the phone for a while, but finally get to meet him in person, and then we're gonna see how it's really like. But I'm ready to get the day started. That's good, G.
Good.
How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well.
You doing well?
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you, coming through. I know you got a busy schedule, so.
Oh, man. Whew. Yeah, it's, whew, long day.
Long day. So I just wanted to, wrap it up with you real quick, you know what I'm saying, just to get a feel of who you are and just talk about your TikTok experience.
Okay.
So how did you get to be so popular on TikTok so fast?
Well, I actually started off, it's a really interesting story. I actually started off as like a TikTok poet, so to speak, because my background is in poetry. And I saw an opportunity to build a platform as a TikTok poet. And I posted one of my poems that I had did back in Virginia. And lo and behold, in my first 2 months on the platform, I gained over 100,000 followers.
Wow.
And I was still trying to learn the basic functions of the app.
Okay.
From there, I started becoming essentially being made synonymous with the educators on the app, because that's like the foundation of what I do.
Okay.
So in that, I saw an opportunity to establish myself as one of the top black male intellectuals on the app, and lo and behold, due to my supporters, I've been positioned as such. So I just started gaining popularity from there. Around the time, there were a lot of political videos. Essentially what we call them is intellectual rebuttals.
Okay.
So somebody will put information out there as related to something that happened over the course of history, but they'll like tweak a certain detail, and they'd be like, well, wait a minute, that's cap. This is what the truth is. And they just became really popular. Snoop Dogg posted me on Instagram, so that was pretty cool.
Okay.
So things like that, astronomically boosted my platform as well.
Okay. That's like a really rags to riches story almost. You know what I mean? Like we already know that you in the Navy and you work a full-time job and have a family, but it was just like that just caught fire and it just just immediately raised in your followers, and then you just got a lot of supporters. As far as your content, why do you think so many people are just relatable with your content?
I believe, now I also study social media, right?
Okay.
So on TikTok specifically, it's a really interesting platform because the way the algorithm works, it only caters to certain content. So I've narrowed it down to 3 different things that you're gonna do on TikTok. You're either going to entice, entertain, or educate. And if you become dope at all 3, you're gonna blow up really quickly. So in that, the foundation of my platform being education, people always want to learn something new. People always want to have equitable dialogue, or at least the facilitation of equitable dialogue, to whereby people genuinely just feel heard. There's so many people out there with so many different dynamic stories, they literally just want to be heard, and I provide a platform for that.
Bro, I can't imagine like the type of stress that would come with having such a big community. Like, what are some of the stressors of having so many followers? What is it? What are you now? 1.6 million?
1.6 million, correct.
Like, what's the stressors behind that?
So it's not just, it's interesting because there's this concept that I call cross-promoting, right?
Okay.
Whereby you post content on your main platform and you post it to your subsidiaries. So my subsidiaries are my Instagram and my YouTube. Now my Instagram, I have roughly about 33,000, my YouTube about 27,000. In that, having a large platform, not just on TikTok, but on other platforms as well, is when something goes viral. Like I've had, I guess one of my more lighthearted videos, I'm really into Nerfs, like the Nerf blasters.
Right.
And I had a video do 8 million views, right? When posted on TikTok, it's gonna do a certain amount of views. When posted on Instagram, it's gonna do a certain amount of views, and Facebook, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. One of the stressors is the context that's missed when your video is taken off of TikTok and posted to another. So let's say, for example, you have a series, right? And you have a series of 4 videos, but only one of them catches fire. And then it's posted to another platform, to whereby now they've missed the context of all of those other videos, and somebody could either be happy with you or they could be pissed off at you,
right.
you know? And
right.
it's on you as the content creator to ensure that you are nipping those things in the bud, or doing what I like to call getting ahead of the narrative. So it's a blessing and a curse, because you also have people that will afford you certain opportunities. I've been blessed to be able to do some virtual speaking engagements,
okay.
As well as in-person speaking engagements, both here on the island and off. So that's been an amazing thing, and I know when I PCS to my next location, I'll be, receiving opportunities from there as well. And just having an opportunity to just reach not just a local, but literally a global audience. I have moderators that operate, moderation on my live streams that literally live in Australia. One that lives in South Africa. A few that live in the continental America. Okay. So in that regard, it's just like literally TikTok affords an opportunity for you to not just have a platform, but an international platform. And with that, you also have the stressors of different cultures, different customs, that you as a content creator, if you are, how would I word this? If you're conscientious enough to do the research to ensure that you are not negatively representing a community or an ethnicity that you are speaking on your platform.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people get having so many followers on social media equates to a lot of money. Is that like a big misconception about?
Huge misconception. There are influencers with literally millions of followers that are broke. You know what I mean? And when I say broke, I mean broke in the sense of a mindset, right?
Okay.
There's so many different facets of how to make money on social media that if you are not, number one, being essentially a student of the game of social media, number two, taking your brand seriously, or number 3, ensuring that your brand has great visibility, all you're literally going to be doing is posting for like, shares, comments, and views. So
Okay.
you could do things such as merchandise. So after you reach a certain level, of course, the platform starts sending you merchandise because now you're representing them, right?
Okay.
Now my Eagles hat, that's just because I'm an
Yeah.
Eagles fan,
Yeah.
But different things like, this ring that I'm wearing, comes from a certain company. They may send you jewelry, they may send you clothing, whatever the case may be, and then pay you to wear it. But then you also have sponsored posts to whereby you can represent a company or represent a brand, and then they pay you a certain amount of money for what's called a campaign. So whether it's 1 video, 3 videos, 5 videos, they'll outline that for you in your contract, and then boom, you'll get paid that way. You also can get paid through essentially what's called brand placement. Whether it's, you're on a live stream and you have something behind you. You don't necessarily have to talk about it. They just want it there. And oftentimes you'll see it in like radio, when they like film radio. So on social media, it's almost the same. You just have to have it in your video and you'll become a brand ambassador. However, for me specifically, I didn't start making like money, at least somewhat of money, until I hit like, I say about somewhere between like 300,000 to 500,000, and that was only because I was not really used to like having a large following. I've been always visible on social media, but to have a platform to this magnitude, I was not, familiar with it. What I typically like to do is work with small brands, small Black-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, to get them more visibility. Just because in the business world, we understand that they don't get the same opportunities as larger brands and/or businesses.
Algorithms
so
pushes the bigger.
Exactly. A Walmart is going to be pushed better than a. For example, the T-shirt that I'm wearing is from a brand called Civil Hands, and they make custom T-shirts. So in that, they're like, hey, we want to make a custom T-shirt for you. I always ask, and this is another pitfall that sometimes influencers fall into, just because someone sends you something for free doesn't mean you're obligated to post about it. So I'll ask right off the muscle, like, hey, are you sending this to me because you genuinely like my content and something that I said inspired you? Or are you sending this to me with the expectation of me posting a video, which would essentially give your brand visibility, thus turning that into currency for that business, but I'm not getting anything out of it.
Right.
So I got 1.6 million followers and you're essentially robbing me of my audience's attention.
Sort of like social media when they sell your data to other companies to make money.
Essentially, right. So in that, you have to take your brand seriously, and a great deal of influencers kind of don't, because they don't understand the power of their platform.
Okay.
And I teach a course on that as well.
When it comes to, I've seen you speak a lot about social incidents, or like, you had the Black Lives Matter movement, all the George Floyd stuff. How do you pick and choose what you're going to talk about? Since you have a big following, I know that so many people want you to talk about so many topics. How do you, what is your like
method, essentially?
Method, there you go.
Okay.
The method of picking what you're going to choose to talk about.
In the beginning, it was kind of difficult because, my background, so I have a bachelor's degree in mass communications. A great deal of our coursework dealt with public speaking and journalism. So in that, I know how to find stories. However, what I also found as a great tool to be able to not only speak on things, but speak on things that people genuinely want to hear, is I'll go based on my tags and my mentions. So if there's something popular going on and I'm not aware of it, because I'm not all seeing, all knowing,
Right.
That's only to the Heavenly Father. So in that, unless the ancestors bless me with something that, they just, lay on my spirit to talk about, I'll just wait for my supporters to send me something that's going on, and then I'll bring light to it, whether it's a call to action to call a congressman, a representative, a police department, file a petition, whatever the case may be. Essentially serve as like the middleman. They find the information, hey, you have the platform, boom, can you package this together in a way that's unique to you, but then also gives a call to action and puts the information out to my audience. So I'll say it's about 75-25. 75% of what I do is just all me, and then 25% is what is sent to me.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. This is what I really want to ask you though. How do you deal with your community getting upset with you when you don't speak about certain topics? Do you even feel obligated? Because I know they come with you so many topics, and if you don't speak about a topic, how do you handle them getting mad? And do you feel like you're obligated to speak about every topic that's sent to you?
Well, let me answer the first question. Do I feel obligated? No, but I used to.
Okay.
And I think it's part of the growing process as an influencer and as a creator specifically, because you will feel a sense of obligation when you get so many tags. But what they won't do is they won't always have your back when you start getting that hate from not just your community, because you got to remember TikTok is an international platform. So you're not just getting hate from your community, you're getting hate from communities across the world, literally. So in that, posting something that people may take negatively, what I've come to find is standing 10 toes down in what I think and I believe, and then also too, and this is the most important part, ensuring that your video is consistently riddled with factual information. So when anyone brings any contentions toward anything that I'm saying or anything that I'm doing, my first question is, where did I go wrong? Now, if I give my opinion on something, we can hold dialogue about the differences of our opinion equitably. However, when I'm talking specifically about factual information, this happened at this location, on this date, at this time, how can you rebuttal that? So are you giving me hate just because you don't like me as a person? Because we can acknowledge that. That's cool, I'm fine with that. Because the reality is that everybody's not gonna like you. And I think as an influencer, oftentimes that's another misconception, that people have to like you. And I think that that's solely shaped around this idea of social acceptance. If you're not, and again, this is not to brag or boast or to be anything like that. I've been popular almost my whole life, whether it was playing sports, school organizations. When I was in college, I joined the greatest fraternity known to man, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity.
I knew you were going to say that.
The oldest, the coldest, the black, and the whole goldest. But in that, it affords you a certain amount of social acceptance from others. When it comes to social media specifically, we have this thing called social media validation, to the point where something as simple as unfollowing someone becomes newsworthy. Following someone becomes newsworthy. So in that regard, people that are not used to having these platforms, they will feel obligated because they want people to like them. When the reality is that I focus less on people liking me, and I had to stop saying I don't care if nobody likes me, because I do.
Right.
Just very little.
A little bit, yeah.
But I care more that they respect me. And I think that is what has assisted me in not just building a platform, but also having longevity on the platform. Because you have people that will post things that I consider shock value content. They know it's not indicative of who they are, but they want the views. They want the clicks.
But that doesn't last very long.
It doesn't. And the problem in it is, okay, you have a platform, right? So boom, this is your platform. You have all of these subsidiary things that you could talk about, but you got this thing over here that it's bigger, right?
Right.
It draws in more people. It's not indicative of who you are over here because you don't want this to grow. You're impatient. I call it the bacon bread theory. When you come in the house and you smell that bread and it's just smelling all good, you know what I'm saying? You like, I want that bread. But you gotta recognize that if it doesn't bake to full fruition and you take it out too early, guess what happens? You're gonna get sick. And that's what a lot of influencers do. They try to get that dopamine hit of that viral video instead of just being consistent with their content and waiting for that moment to happen. So in that, what ends up happening is when I do get that hate, I do my best to either one, get to the root of it, or two, I just shrug it off. Some things you don't have to attend every party that you're invited to. That's what my grandma used to tell me growing up. And as an influencer, oftentimes when you get in those consistent mentions, sometimes you'll feel obligated to respond, or you'll feel obligated to respond to the people, not just that are making videos, but to the individuals that are hosting live streams about you specifically. And it's just like, you know what? Let's hold dialogue together. Let me open up a space for us to have dialogue together. Oh, you don't want to talk to me. Oh, you just want clout.
Right.
Cool. I'm not even going to engage with that.
Man, that sounds like you got a headache when it comes to, it's like you said, it's a gift and a curse all at the same time.
Indeed.
How do you separate social media from your regular life? Because I know you're getting thousands of comments, thousands of tags, thousands of messages. Like how you separating those two?
So I personally, and I think it kind of speaks to like this idea of like the work-life balance, if you will, and being in the military as well as being on social media, there's some complexity that exists there in terms of me going to work and even, doing some content while I'm at work, in situations where I'm not like super duper busy, maybe some lighthearted things, whether it's me, because, like I said, I'm a small boat instructor. So whether I'm out on the water, talking about what it is that I do, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to my personal life, there is a bit of crossover once you gain a large following and people, let me retract that. Once you gain an equitable following, because I know people that don't even have 100,000 followers and they're getting recognized in public just because of who they associate themselves with. So in that regard, once you start getting that public visibility, it's almost like you can. So in that regard, somebody could literally walk up right now like, hey, aren't you Ispeak1906 from TikTok? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And then, you start having that dialogue. The duality in that is you don't know whether or not that's a supporter or a hater. So whether or not they're trying to essentially greet you in a respectful manner, or if they're just trying to get some content off of you.
Right.
So in that regard, I say, left side church hugs because the right side dominant.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna protect myself and my family at all times. However, I don't believe that that's necessary when you invite in a certain energy. And I do my best to be as peaceful, as grounded as possible. I'm not gonna escalate a situation. I've grown a lot in that regard as well. So there are times where someone could be yelling, screaming, cussing at me, trying to berate me. And it's just like, you know what? I recognize you don't want to have a respectful dialogue. I'm not even going to engage.
Right.
Because they're looking for a certain response from you. Now, you're not going to disrespect me. You're just not going to do that. And you're definitely not going to put your hands on me or my family. So in that regard, I think that number one, scrubbing social media, or not just social media, the internet, of these like free sites that have your information on them is the first step. Because people will try to do what's called doxing, which is short for document dropping. They'll get your address, your significant other, any residences that you lived at, any cars you drove. If you have a criminal record, I don't have one. They'll try to put that information out on social media. It's like a got you moment, right?
Right.
Especially those that don't like you. So in that, going on these like third-party sites to be able to, opt out of them hosting your data is the first step. The second step is I encourage all people, if you can get a license to carry. We live in a crazy world.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You never know what people are thinking. You never know what people will try to do. Always protect yourself. And number three, I want you to read this book called Emotional Intelligence, because everything doesn't have to go to the umpteenth degree. If somebody walked up right here, right now, and just started yelling and cussing and berating me, they're not putting their hands on me. They're not presenting any type of threat. They're just visibly upset. And in that regard, you're entitled to that. Now let's actually have a conversation. And me personally, I've found more success with saying, you know what? Your feelings are 100% valid. You're upset with me over something that I posted. Okay, now let's talk about it. They're not expecting that response because typically their experience is they be shunned away.
Right.
The influencer's just like, well, I don't care about your feelings. Move by the wayside, which I could very well do because you're not entitled to a response from me. But me saying, you know what, your feelings are valid. Let's actually just have that conversation.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. Let's talk. And then we can have equitable dialogue. And I've actually formed some great friendships with people that have not liked me in the beginning. Like, oh, I'm so glad we actually had that conversation because I judged you based on the content that you posted. And really and truly, it was just more so like, wow, now I converted a hater to a supporter.
Right.
That's dope.
Bro, it seemed like you got this whole social media thing figured out, just dealing with all the emotions that come behind it, all the hate, all the respect that you do get. What I do want to talk about, what you touched on, was being doxxed.
Mm-hmm.
Before I let you go, so I know you're really busy.
I got you.
As far as all the controversial stuff that you've been going through right now on TikTok, can you provide me with the links to the video so I can do a little bit of more research? And then when we meet up on the second interview, that we can actually get into an in-depth conversation about that.
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely do that.
Okay, bet. Appreciate you, man. I know you're a busy man, so.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
We're gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna let you get back to your life, and then we'll link up again.
Definitely.
For sure, brother.
Appreciate it, boss.
You take care.
Absolutely.